Recorded live with little or no editing, it's Defense Up. I'm Run 7. How you doing? Today I got a good one for you. It's MrHartgrave's defense. Yes, he sent it over to me so we can have a look at this. I was in his stream yesterday. If you don't know who MrHartgrave is, be sure to check him out. His streams are very entertaining. He's got a cool vibe that he does. He knows his stuff and he's got lots to say. So check him out over there on Twitch. But it should be known that we looked at his offense and defense, and he understands that this defense is garbage. He understands, as I try to tell my viewers, that war defense is very much not important right now, and you shouldn't be focusing on it. You should be focusing on raids, and probably some raids too. And if you're getting sick of raids, then maybe you should look into arena, but be sure to do raids first. All the way down the list is your war defense after war offense. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at his defense, seeing how we can fix it up, not only to make it the best defense, but also we're going to see how we could make it a defense where he's not using any more resources to improve the characters, where he's not using any characters that he is saving for offense. So kind of a two ways to look at it, like the best version of this and then the budget version of this. But anyway, let's jump into it. First off, we've got team number 1, which is Heroes for Hire. And he's got Juggernaut in here. And you'll see why he's got Juggernaut in here. Basically, he's not using Brotherhood. He's got Magneto elsewhere. So that's why he's got Juggernaut in here instead of JJ. But honestly, I think Juggernaut is so slow with that taunt that I don't know if that's going to be very effective. People might be able to come in here with like a Kestrel Surfer hybrid or something and, you know, strip the charges off of Calling Wing, or just annihilate somebody if they're at a weaker power. Like that Misty Knight's only 52,000. I don't know, like a 6 or 7 Red Star Kestrel might be able to one-shot her. I'm not sure. But I think that a better pick for this slot is one, either JJ, because she does give a little bit more resistance against that Surfer charge strip maneuver, or you might consider going with somebody like Red Guardian, who is rapidly becoming irrelevant with characters like Sam and Bishop. Or you could throw Drax in here as that, you know, pre-taunting tank, just making sure that their opening moves are kind of wasted. I think that might be the better pick. Ultimately, we're going to be replacing it with Shang-Chi. I know that this is the best defense in the game right now, and it will only get even more amazing with Shang-Chi, but I still just hate the team. I don't find them very fun. I don't find them intriguing. It's the same thing as the Hydra mechanic. They just die and revive and die and revive, and that's not fun for me, so I don't like building this team. If you are serious about war defense and you want to build this team, it scales very well. High invested H4H teams just absolutely are nightmares to get through. With Shang-Chi, it's going to be twofold. So the budget build for this one is probably replace this guy with Drax. Even if Drax isn't very powerful, having that opening taunt to disrupt how they can come into this team is going to be important. Otherwise, I kind of like JJ for the resistance, and of course Shang-Chi is going to be the best when you get him unlocked. Definitely want to get him in here. As for the ISOs, I don't like Healer on Luke Cage anymore. Luke Cage dies with a rejuve over his head. It never actually takes effect. So let's get rid of the Healer. Since you're only one ISO, go ahead and switch that over to Fortifier. As he dies and revives, he'll get that 15,000 or 10,000 barrier, whatever it is at ISO level 1. And that'll make him a little tougher. You've got Skirmisher Striker on these two. That's correct. I'm not certain about the placement, but it's good enough. I mean, running the 2 tanks in here is going to make that placement a little different. So I think that's okay. Yeah, we're doing okay. It's not a terrible build. He's mostly doing it right. Like I said, the simplest fix for this team right now is changing that 1 ISO to make Luke Cage a Fortifier. And when Shang-Chi is in here, it's going to be doubly important because Luke Cage will just automatically be the first target you go for. So there we go on that one. I'm going to give you... yeah, let's give you a B+ for this. You're not wasting any resources on that, and I really like that. All right, team number 2 is this Wave 1 Skilletary mismatch. I see a lot of semi-useful war defense characters and maybe even war offense characters being used on this team, and I think it's kind of a waste. Okay, so you've got a bit of Skilletary going on over here. Here's that Red Guardian who's no longer useful, but is already somewhat invested in, and you're trying to get some value out of him by putting him on defense because you're not using Skilletary for whatever reason. I don't use Skilletary myself. I think that they were a luxury team to begin with, then they were hot for like a minute, and now they're getting kind of useless again as people are finding ways to keep them, like keep your Mercs alive against the Skilletary and stuff. There's not much use for them anymore. So yeah, you're throwing them in here trying to get some use. And then you've got Captain America and Captain Marvel, the two captains in here for, I don't know, just some extra damage output, their synergy with Black Widow maybe. This is obviously just a thrown together junk team. I'd like to see more of the Wave 1. I don't know what you're doing with Hawkeye. And let's see. I don't know what you're doing with Hulk. But if you've got any kind of decent investment in those two, I think that's better than these two down here. You've got Healer on Red Guardian, and that's okay. He actually moves faster than you think because of the other things that are going on in the kit for the Skilletary team. You've got Skirmisher over here. If Hawkeye were in here, he would be a striker. She's Raider, that's correct. You've got Healer on her because you're trying to keep her alive. Although at this time she's so power crept, switching that over to a striker might be a little bit better. You could get a little more bang for your buck. And over here on Captain America Healer, that's a good one too. He's going to get sped up a little bit too, I believe, as the Avengers are attacked or something like that. I'm not sure. Something happens when Avengers are attacked. So that might be the good choice over there. Yeah, I would rather see a straight up Wave 1 than this. I think these two are pretty much garbage characters at this point. You should probably take them out. You probably want to use them because you invested in them and you hate to see that investment go to waste. But a better defense is better than trying to use characters simply because you invested in them. It's kind of like how Red Stars don't make a bad character good. They just make a bad character bigger. You know, same thing. A big investment in bad tunes doesn't mean you should use them. It doesn't mean you should max out your 7 Red Star character just because you got 7 Red Stars on them. That sort of scenario here. All in all, I mean, I know you're not wasting any. I know nothing in your defense is being wasted because you're not using any of these characters anywhere else. I just think the Wave 1 is going to be a better build if you can pull that off. Gonna give you a C for this team. It's pretty meh. Okay, this is straight garbage right here. This is so worthless. So you built these characters up because you wanted to do that Hydra Zemo team. You know, on that offense team, these guys are useful. Your Grenadier is useful, which I think Grenadier is on offense for you right now. Some of these guys, oh man. I mean, you've got some taunts coming in here that make this team kind of hard to go into, but these minions are absolutely nothing without Red Skull. This team is really just absolute garbage. It's not anything but a big number up here that's going to require people to take anything with synergy to come in here on a punch across. Like, I would probably look at this team and go, oh, okay, there's where my young Avengers are going to go. This is something my young Avengers can punch across and easily take out, and I won't have to worry too much about it. There really isn't any way to improve this because I know that you're using Zemo. I know that you're using Red Skull on offense, and those are really the only options for improving this team. And you have these characters heavily invested in. So as garbage as this team is, I kind of have to give you the A for it. You've got the proper ISOs on here. It's not wasting any resources. And there's no way to improve it. So, I mean, okay, I guess you could put Crossbones over here on the outside. There's a placement change. A-, I guess. It is what it is. Yeah, I wish I could help you on that team, but I know what you're doing on offense. So that's really the best that we got right there. Team number 4. This is another big question mark. You're ruining your Mercs with this team. Wow. Okay, so I'm not a big fan of Shuri and Killmonger on the Mercs anymore. I'm finding that Korath the Pursuer on there is, and even Korath and Bullseye is much better. I haven't built up my Ultimus, so I don't know if I should put Ultimus on my Mercs or not. I haven't tested that. I hear a lot of good things about Ultimus because of how he reacts with Skilletary. So Shuri doesn't have a place. She doesn't have a use, so you could still use her and keep her here. Merc Lieutenant is okay, but he shouldn't be adjacent to Shuri. He should be adjacent to... Let's see. Okay, so... man, this team is so bonkers wrong. So the best placement for this team would be Taskmaster, followed by Merc Riot Guard, followed by Merc Lieutenant, followed by either Ultimus or Bullseye, followed by Korath the Pursuer. Maybe in Korath the Pursuer and then Bullseye on the outside, because Bullseye would be the useless character. Doesn't really matter. Or you could do something like the same thing, but then you're going to have Killmonger here and Shuri here. That would probably be the best placement. These are all options for you. Let's see, you've got Healer on him, that's good. You need Skirmisher on Taskmaster when you're running him with the Mercs especially. Otherwise, I mean, he'd be a Raider. I'm not sure why you went with Striker. Just to give that damage boost, that doesn't seem like a good idea. Yeah, if he's off his team, I know that there's synergy with the Raider ISO. I don't know about Striker at all. I know like everything in the game is Strikers right now. And it's unfortunate. I was kind of hoping they'd do something a little more exciting with the other blue ISOs, but really they just extended the worthlessness of all the other ISOs than Striker and Skirmisher. Let's see, you got Skirmisher on Star-Lord. Star-Lord's more of a Raider or a Striker for me. Vision, man. Vision's just... he used to be so good. He's terrible now. Yeah, this team is really garbage. See if you can get some other Mercs in here to replace some of this. Change your Skirmisher, change your Taskmaster to a Skirmisher. If you go with Riot Guard, you're going to want him as a Striker. You're going to want all your Mercs as Strikers except for Taskmaster, and Lieutenant can stay as a healer. If you're running Shuri on this team, you could then change him to a Striker to get even more damage output out of your Taskmaster. I mean, you've got a good investment in Taskmaster. Use him. You know, bring out his potential. Even if you gotta forego all this ISO that you put on him, you know, at least on his defense, lock in that the Skirmisher on him so that he's making that triple hit combo pop off with your Mercs. As for Star-Lord and Vision, Vision's just crap. We all got to bite the bullet on that one. He's no good. Hopefully we get this like villain tech kind of rework team thing going on and Vision has a place again. I don't know. You know, his synergy doesn't really work with the villains so much, but he is tech. So I'd like to see that happen. But for right now, he's just kind of worthless, as is Star-Lord, unfortunately. He's got some synergy with Gamora and stuff, but that's not anything you're going to be doing on War Defense. So... that's my option. This kind of seems like a waste of material. I hate seeing Strikers on Taskmaster. I see so much more damage coming out of them when they're Skirmishers. Yeah, so that's my option for you. But man, I got to give you a C- for this. This is kind of a waste of resources. These characters do have value and can be used on other War Defense scenarios. Well, maybe not so much Shuri. She's kind of fallen off pretty bad too. All right, team number 5. We got an Uncanny no Phoenix. All right, so you're running Phoenix on, I believe, that Hydra Red Skull team, I think, for offense. It's kind of she can also be used to take out the Mercs. She can be used for a Heroes for Hire counter. Actually, if I were you, I'd pull this team and keep them for offense in case you come across like a 500k Merc team or like a 575 Merc team. You can use Phoenix with just a standard straight Uncanny and go in there and you can blow them up. It's a thing to do. It gives you an offensive option. This isn't really doing anything for you. I mean... they've got synergy, obviously, but without Beast, your damage output between Cyclops and Storm is drastically reduced. Without Phoenix, it reduces Cyclops even further. Wolverine Wolverine's just a bump on a log, no matter what team you put him on. I know he gets a little bit more turn meter, a little bit more damage on this team, but it's not great. I don't know why you've got Fortifier on Colossus at 7 red stars. Ain't nobody cutting through him anytime soon. Yeah, the good news is because you have this pillar of strength right here, this team will hold up long enough that Wolverine will actually take 1, maybe even 2 turns. Could be good. Your placement is fine, although you might swap Psylocke and Wolverine because Wolverine has some healing properties. He'll catch some of that splash damage off of him. Yeah, there's not a whole lot more you can do. You got Raider and Striker, Skirmisher. Like I said, I don't know how I feel about that Fortifier. I mean, he is the linchpin of this version of this team, so there's a thing to do, but I personally would go... I'd go with Healer on him. I mean, he's so slow, it's not happening much, but I'd go with Healer on him. You got to get somebody helping to heal up this team. Maybe even put Wolverine as a healer too. I don't know. They're so slow though. You wouldn't get many rejuves out of it. Be kind of tricky to pull off. Otherwise, like, there's nothing really wrong with this, and you're not wasting any resources. I think the opportunity to pull this entire team and put them on offense is something you could consider. It just really depends on how many of those war offense teams you have. If you've got your 10 to 12 teams set and you never go outside of that, then don't worry about it. Leave this team where it is. If you're looking for an extra team to slot into those new save squad tabs, then you might consider pulling this version if that Hydra Red Skull Phoenix team that you're using, I believe I got that. I could be remembering wrong, but if that Phoenix isn't being used that way, then no. So I'm going to give you a B for this team. It's nothing special. It's not going to stop anything. It's just a big number that requires a synergistic team to come into it. There's lots of ways you can take this down without thinking too hard about it, but there's not really many ways you can improve upon this team either. I can't think of a replacement for Wolverine that isn't going to have that isn't going to force you to invest. So I think we should stick with this. All right. Team number 6. Emmarauders with Magneto. This team's actually really formidable. Personally, I think you should be putting Doom in here in place of Mystique. Make this team a real nightmare. I think that's just a really tough team with Doom in here. The other alternative is you could put Minerva in here if you're not using her somewhere else, because she's going to help keep this team alive a little bit more. It forces when X Factor comes in, they can't use Mum because she's going to be healing off of all those dupes that get killed. So it's a good alternative there. I can't remember. I think you're running Doom on offense, so that's probably not going to happen. But you have a good investment in her. She is giving Sinister those positive effects, which he then spreads to the other team members. You've got great power in all these characters. You've got the right ISOs on all of them except for Strife. Strife needs to be a fortifier. More and more, I'm seeing more tanks that require fortifier. It used to be I recommended Strife and only Strife was the only fortifier. And then it was like, oh, okay, well, maybe Stature on that Pimtech team could use it. And now it's like, Luke Cage on the Heroes for Hire team is a good fit for it. But really, Strife uses his barrier mechanic to great effect, and adding the fortifier ISO 8 on it allows him to have more barrier, and it gives him more barrier to work with plus more max barrier. So it's really just a good fit. He's just got great synergy with that ISO. So check it out. Also, you should probably change your placement. A lot of people put Mystique next to Strife because she goes invisible and keeps chain attacks from going through. The thing is, I don't like her next to Strife because it takes away that deflect or the evade, and then Sinister can give that evade to the rest of the team. But I would move her even further away because she's a pretty squishy member. But that's pretty minuscule. You can keep her there. It's fine. She's got great healing. I'm sorry, why aren't you using her as a healer? That like a level 5 healer on Emma is just so vicious this day and age. You might consider that. I mean, there's synergy with the Skirmisher tag. I tried it out myself. I didn't like it. I like her much better as a healer. So I think my advice for you on this team is consider swapping her out for other characters like Minerva or Doom. You should probably go to a healer on Emma and definitely go to a fortifier on Strife. You're not going to be losing much investment by switching him now. Otherwise, it's a great team. It's a great defense. I think a lot more people should be running this, especially mid-level alliances. And people who are just now unlocking Doom should probably get Doom in here on this and try running some sort of either Doom Brotherhood or Brotherhood Marauder Doom team like what you've got going on here. I like it. I think it's a good team. I'm going to give you the A- on this. This is actually a really formidable thing to come into. Team number 7 is a tech thing. Okay, so here's where your Minerva is. All right. Minerva actually has great synergy with this team. I don't want you to remove her from this team if you want to run this team. I think you should consider Hand Sentry if you have a fully developed Hand Sentry. I can't remember what your Hand Sentry looks like, but if your Hand Sentry is anywhere near 100k, get him in here in place of Yellow Jacket. I don't know if you remember the old Hide the Toaster defense that people used to run, but what happens is Ultron will summon his bots, and then immediately Hand Sentry puts everybody under stealth, so you can't hit the bots and you can't hit Ultron, and it works out really great. Hand Sentry lasts for all of 8 seconds, and then they start going after people, but it's enough time to get the ball rolling on Ultron. Also, you've got Falcon in here. Now, Falcon is a really still a good character, has a lot of value. I use him in a lot of places for kind of niche maneuvers, but it's because I'm controlling him and I can use that special before the ultimate. In this one, I don't know. Maybe having Hand Sentry in here might give him the cover that he needs, but alternatively, I think putting Drax in here or Red Guardian in here would make this team really tricky, because they'd have to go in after the pre-taunting tank, and then Hand Sentry would put everybody under stealth. You've got Mrs. Dodgy Pants over here, Ghost. She's super hard to hit, and then Minerva is healing everybody off of the bots that are dying. This team actually has a lot of synergy. It's just Yellow Jacket only has synergy with Ghost, and I just don't like Yellow Jacket. Thank you for building him up and testing him. I'm sorry you had to find out the hard way that he's not any good. Yeah, so there's some replacement options for these two. I think you should consider them. You've got Villain Tech over here, which works great. If you have some Villain Tech options to swap out with these guys, consider those two. Nothing comes to mind right offhand. I kind of like Drax over here and Hand Sentry right here, going back to a version of that old Hide the Toaster team. It's pretty good. Getting those red stars on Ultron, way to go. That's not something I'm doing, but it's not something that I'm saying people shouldn't do either. I'm just saving my... When my promotion tokens cap out, I'll probably start putting the stars on Ultron. I just don't have to make a move yet, so I'm not going to. Yeah, you've got 3 strikers and nobody putting out vulnerables, by the way. So get Raider on Falcon. If you're going to run this team, you should probably put either Skirmisher or Raider on Yellow Jacket. Yeah, I can't think of anything else. If you do swap out those people with my suggestions, put Raiders on them both. Like if Drax, he's good with the Raider tag. Hand Sentry's just garbage, but he puts people under stealth. You could go with Fortifier on Hand Sentry, actually, to give him a little bit of longevity, because he's squishy for a tank. All right, you're not wasting any resources. You thought this out with what crappy tunes you're working with. These tunes actually have some synergy, and it is kind of a scary thing to go into. But being that there's nobody taunting, I could just tear into them, taking out Falcon first, probably knocking down Yellow Jacket just to remove people. And then once Minerva resummons Falcon, I'd probably just kill him again. I wouldn't even think about Minerva. I just leave her be. She's just, she's got that one rejuve thing that's going to happen, and that's about it. But there's a lot of options. My Symbiotes would just eat this team alive. Axemen. But again, if you're using Axemen on this team, or if somebody uses Axemen on this defense, then you've scored, right? Because they've just wasted their Axemen on this team, which is fantastic. So... but yeah, there's other teams that can take it down. You just need somebody fast, maybe somebody that can apply heal block, something like that. So, all right, I'm going to give this team a B-. It's not horrible. I just see lots of room for improvement on it. And team number 8 is your Symbiotes, straight up Symbiotes. Yeah, looking good. I like your ISOs. Yeah, I went with Skirmisher on Scream, but Raider's good too. Yeah. No, it's a good team. Wow, 7 red stars on Carnage. I'm kind of jealous. Placement's effective. There's nothing wrong with this. And that's a very high power level. Probably going to require a Black Order to come in and beat this team. There's nothing wrong here. I think this is an A. Just solid A. They're just not getting that much use on offense anymore, right? Yeah. So, yeah, you ended on a high note. This is a very good team. I like that it's in your 8th spot. It's going to require some serious thought. You know, you can come into it maybe with like X-Men or something, but mostly people are just going to go, okay, I'm either going to mirror match this with my symbiotes or I'm going to come in with a Black Order. My symbiotes aren't big enough to compete with this, so this is kind of a Black Order right here. So yeah, I like this one. Good job. There's an A on that. There's no way to improve it, and your ISOs are great. Okay, special thanks to MrHartgrave for sending this over to me. I had a lot of fun going over this defense. Remember, war defense is the least important thing you should be doing in Marvel Strike Force. Raid is the #1 thing. Whenever you can tweak your defense to make it better without spending any resources, definitely do that. And remember, Skirmisher on Taskmaster. Always, always, always. Also remember, don't just have a good game, be good to yourself and others too. I'll catch you next time. Bye.